Hello everybody, today I'm going to be talking through making a kit from scalescenes. Any of you that have watched my videos will see that I use quite a lot of scalescenes products, and I've just started building this kit again in N-Gage. This is the motor repair garage. There's a photo of it there from the scalescenes website, and I'm just going to talk you through in a few parts some tips and how I make these kits through. So first of all, when you do buy a kit, the first thing you do is you print them out onto paper. So all the kits tend to look the same. This is a different kit that I've sort of half been using for different spare parts. So you print them onto good quality paper, and all of the kits, all of the paper parts will have a direction for either medium card, paper only, light card or heavy card. There we go, light card and print only. Now you'll get to learn by trial and error what's the best way to do this, but for N-Gage, obviously paper only, it is just good quality paper, and then I'll be cutting them out. I tend to find that light card and medium card, you can just use the same thing, and what I use for my card is I've got lots and lots of supply of A4 premium card from Hobbycraft. I can't remember the price, but you get 100 pieces. It's 300 GSM thickness, and it's nice and smooth and very, very good quality. So for medium and light card in N-Gage, I just find a single sheet of this will suffice, and I simply will use a glue stick to glue the paper onto a sheet of the card paper like that, making sure there's no wrinkles, and then leaving it 24 hours to dry. There's a little bit left over that I've done before, so you can see where I've cut out parts from this one. So for light and medium card in N-Gage, I use one sheet of this 300 gram GSM paper from Hobbycraft. Where it requires heavy card, I simply glue two of these sheets together, and I find that's perfectly adequate to be able to work in heavy card. And the way I glue two sheets together is I just spray both of them with obviously spray glue, and then quickly put them together, put some weight on top of them, and again let them dry for 24 hours, and that gives me a supply of double thickness card which I keep ready to go. So then of course once I've got that ready, again I would just glue that using Pritt stick onto one side of the card. That's the thicknesses I work with. It would be different for other scales, and you have to find out what works for you, but that causes me no problems at all, and it works quite well. Now just looking over to some of the tools that you need. I've already mentioned the two tools there, the glue sticks. This is my arsenal of tools you need to make any scalescenes kit to a very high quality. Good quality ruler. Aluminium is like this, it's fine. Just be aware of aluminium, eventually it does wear out and actually no longer sits completely flat on flat surface, but that ruler works for me quite nicely. For cutting the bulk of things, I just use a bog standard throwaway knife with obviously the cut-off, snap-off knife sections. That's good for cutting large quantities of items quickly. I then obviously have a scalpel which I use for cutting very precise items or just the paper only items. The blades will go blunt quite quickly, so you want to just keep the scalpel for the really high detailed stuff, and just use a nice throwaway knife for the more high bulk end stuff. Obviously a supply of spare scalpel blades comes in handy. Modelling clamps, you definitely need a few of those. I've also got some weights I use there for weighing stuff down. Towards the end of the process, if you want to weather your buildings, obviously some weathering sticks or weathering pastels or something. I've got some good high quality fine tipped felt tip pens. You use those to apply the colour around the edges of some of the card pieces. A PVA glue, and I use a couple of paint brushes as well, and a pair of very precision tweezers. The way I glue my scalescenes kits together is I tend to put a dollop of glue in, say, a disposable container, and then I basically paint. I actually paint the glue onto the parts I'm gluing. I find that way I can just put enough on without it getting too messy, and I can be very precise with the application of the glue. And that works very, very well. Trying to just directly put the glue onto the pieces that you're actually gluing, it doesn't work at all for me. You end up with far too much glue, and it goes mushy and too moist, and whenever you're making scale scenes kits you need to keep it all completely dry, because as soon as you get this card or paper wet or moist it just shrivels up and starts to not look very good at all. The one final tool I use is a pointed a blade like this, and I use this actually to mark the edges of where I'm scoring sometimes. So I'll simply do that, and then it gives me the point at which I can score the blades between. It's particularly useful if you're sort of cutting out a window inside another piece of kit. So if you sort of mark the four corners like that, and then you find when you're scoring the blade it actually goes up to the point where you've scored and doesn't go any further, and it allows you to make more precise cutting out of windows and things like that. So I've already mentioned about gluing and putting together the card and printing out the kit, and then my next stage, and that brings this video to an end, is basically I'll have all the parts made ready to go. So this is every single part cut out and in the appropriate thickness, ready to make that kit. So it's all laid out nice and neatly, and everything is there ready to go. No more cutting is required. It's now purely just going to be the gluing stage. So that's the end of my first part of the video of this Scale Scenes kit. Come back and I'll show you how I go about putting them together. Once you've done a kit, you tend to find they all tend to be much the same. You end up with the thicker parts that are made up of the double thickness card, and then you tend to find you've got what they call the cover layers that you sort of glue over like this, and they go over, one goes over the other, and then you simply have an overlap there of the paper where you wrap it around on each edge, and that prevents you having the exposed card lines. It works very well, and it's a method that you use in all the Scale Scenes kits. So that brings this video to a close. I hope you've maybe learned a couple of things there from how to put together a Scale Scenes kit. Come in for the next part and I'll show you how I'm getting on making it. Thanks very much. Enjoy your weekend. Bye bye.